Good morning from paradise. My name is Crypto Amaru. We got Crypto Hitman in the house, and we are so excited to be joined with an old friend of ours. I've known this guy since maybe my first, 6 months in crypto. So going back 7 or 8 years now. None other than Coach K is in the house. What is going on, bud? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Lots is going on. I mean, look at the markets. They're pretty exciting. They can be exciting or scary. Either way you look at them, it's all perspective and mindset. But yeah, a little bit of fear definitely from everyone. A lot of people lost money. A little bit about myself. I've been in crypto almost 12 years. It's coming up next month, so it'll be my 12th year in crypto. And I've been full-time for about 8 or 9, I guess now. Just that's all I do. And yeah, it's a long journey from being a teacher and teaching in a classroom and kind of realizing the system's broken and being in crypto for a while I was still in the classroom and going, I don't want to do this anymore. So went into that, been trading since high school, started trading crypto. Learning and refining my strategy takes years, so it's really hard to become a great trader. You have to really put a lot of time and effort and tens of thousands of hours to really get to the point where you trust everything that you think and you see and your gut. So I started doing that, and then always been a numbers guy. Numbers just always stuck out to me, and went through all the cycles of IDOs and ICOs and everything, and then I realized from a tokenomics perspective, what was needed and what you need to kind of just build up with the right group of people to be able to sell something that's a product or service that solves a problem. And it really made me a better investor being involved with the projects and learning from all the mistakes, and everything is about failure is why you succeed. So seeing what worked, what didn't, and then worked with a lot of great teams, even worked with Ferrum for a while back in the day, so like helping you guys out, giving some advice, and work with Gunzilla right now, been help with their tokenomic models, and just like really working with great projects that I feel like they're a great product or they're a great service and they solve a problem or they're fun. Like in gaming, obviously, is it fun? Will people actually play it? Obviously, Off the Grid blew up. So trying to find those types of products and projects to work with, and then really trying to educate the space on like what are the tokenomics you really need beyond just like here's the distribution of team and investors and stuff, but like how does a token work and how does the model make sense? So how do you bring value into the token so it doesn't dump forever, and how do you build a model that's kind of more equitable for everybody but still looking at vesting and how that broke the industry really from where we're at now. How do we do vesting? And I mean, it's pretty clear how we do it these days. I've been preaching it while everyone told me I was wrong, is give everyone all their tokens, don't let VCs dump on everybody, get through that part fast, and then believe in your product or service and the solutions that you're providing. And that should drive the value of your token. And we were so stuck in limbo for 7 years until I started introducing this concept to projects I worked with. And some of those projects, like Cornucopias and Eternity, they've done extremely, extremely well, right? And I think extremely well means you've never seen public sale price ever again after public sale, even in the worst part of the bear market. That's a successful project, in my opinion, because it seems that the value of what people valued in the project actually stays in the project. Doesn't mean it can't go back down, but trying to find projects that actually understand that you rip that Band-Aid off and no one's dumping every month. There's really now a smarter group of people. Everyone's more educated, the market matured. And I think a really, really big aspect to change this cycle from last is people understood vesting. They understood tokenomics. They understood that they were getting screwed in the high FTVs and the low floats, and that they were getting sold on, and if they buy these tokens, they're going to get wrecked. So instead of buying those, they went into memes, and that destroyed our industry so much further and went so much further into degenerate stuff of like pump fund people sitting on a toilet for hours and just like crazy stuff. You know what I mean? But like so degenerate to the point where people like hurting each other or threatening to kill people and do some crazy stuff, which I think why we're at where we're at right now is because we need to be where we're at. We needed everyone to get wrecked. We needed all the guys who got rich to that got rich easy and quick to come back down to earth, and it happened a lot faster than former cycles, right? Former cycles, the whole cycle, bear market would come, you get wrecked in the bear market, later and later in the bear market, you realize you're wrecked. This cycle was meme coins created that happen in such a short time frame for most people, and I think if I was someone in the industry that actually valued it, I would like to see more of that meme coin stuff go out the door and get back to focusing on real products and services and you got a president, and you got everyone behind crypto now. And I think that's, even though Trump launched a token and stuff, I think that was a play in what he's caused right now in the markets to kind of make his friends have a little bit of extra cash to buy back in and to not panic too much. But there's a big plan behind what's going on in the markets, not just crypto. And crypto is directly affected by a lot of stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I want to stop you there because, well, you covered a lot of bases. We can have an hour-long conversation about token economics and VCs and pre-sales. That side of the market's kind of dead right now. We'll see. It will come back when the greed comes back, and I think memes will probably come back too, for better or worse.
Yeah, they will.
Once the market starts pumping again, people are risk on and they do stupid shit. Hopefully it doesn't get as bad as it was. But we're not there yet. Right now we're in a period of mass uncertainty, right? Big market correction on the stock market and crypto. You're sort of suggesting, it sounds like to me though, that you thought this was a little bit planned out. There's maybe a grand plan here. I'm taking the view, yeah, maybe, but maybe it's just Trump wanted to do tariffs and here's, the result of it in the financial markets. Tell me about your theory as to what, first of all, what's going on right now? Why is it happening? What's your take on the current market?
Okay, so obviously U.S. has a massive amount of debt. There's too much money in the stock market. Everything's way overvalued. That makes everything too expensive. So people are complaining about egg prices and oil prices and all stuff. It's because they're too expensive. So what do is you slowly correct the market down. You make tariffs that you're probably going to walk back at some point to just renegotiate better deals for America. You're going to try and over time bring more money back to America, get a way smaller deficit. And you're going to refinance that $7 trillion, not at 4.5% or 4%, but you're going to refinance it around 1 or 2%, which makes a lot more sense. Also, Jerome Powell doesn't want to print money, and that's what Trump wanted. So what a better way than to push inflation down, which the inflation numbers are way down now. They're, I think, under 2% for the first time in a really long time, because people are flying into bond markets because they're scared and they're uncertain, so they don't want to be in any market, which is why everyone's selling all their all their stocks and crypto, and why you're seeing the bond market start to grow again. So it's all these things are really interconnected, and if you try to understand, the average person out there that watched what happened with this election until right now is Trump's a piece of crap, he's making everything even worse. But in some things, it's better to go, it's if you break your arm and you have to reset your arm, you're better off to break it back in place than try to do it in another way with surgery or something, right? It's better to deal with the short-term pain of that arm being broken back and healing faster and potentially better than not. And it's kind of what he's doing to the economy. And he did say things like, I'm going to drain the swamp. Draining the swamp means all these rich guys that are very highly leveraged, he can get them out of the market by basically crashing the market. So he can drain some of these bad actors out. Then you could have a launch of a token that goes to the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world, make your friends a bunch of money, which we saw the orders that went through when Trump Coin launched. There was $1 million orders over and over again. It made a lot of sense that, make a bunch of people money, tell them that things are going to get rough for a little bit, dip the markets down. It's great for crypto reserves if they want to buy Bitcoin at some point and figure that out. Gives them time to go and check the Fort Knox, see if all the gold's there, reprice the gold higher, sell some of the gold for Bitcoin. There's a lot of things that you can play out. Now, do I know exactly what his plan is? No. But I mean, you can deduce as an analyst in charts or in anything else with projects and everything, you meet a lot of smart people and you start thinking how would they think, right? And they wouldn't do what everyone else has done. So I think either Trump is an absolute genius or he's a very smart man with extremely smart and well-positioned people around him to be able to do what he wants to do. And I think it's a combination, right? And whether that is the truth or not, we won't know for sure because we can't talk to Trump. But I look at these things, and if eggs come down and oil comes down in price and inflation goes down and they start printing money and he gives some of this money back to the average American like they did during COVID, except it's actually their own money that got stolen from them from all these bullshit programs that he found, you can stimulate the economy absolutely massively and make average Americans money and have actual capital again. So
that would be amazing.
I was going to say we're seeing some data already come in. Yesterday, data came in for the live price of eggs. Eggs were down $2, which is actually lower than when Trump came into office. So that's playing out. 3 days ago, that was all over the news. Oh my God, eggs are $8. Well, what do you know? A week later, eggs are now cheaper than when he came into office. Also, the CPI data is officially out. By the time this video gets out, you guys will see this all over your newsfeed. But the expected CPI was 2.9%. It came in at 2.8%, and the pre-markets are liking it. We're seeing a bounce in Bitcoin. We're seeing a bounce in stocks. And then we are seeing a projected inflation rate from places like Truflation of sub 1.5%, which, like you said, if correct, we'll see that they're usually ahead by 45 days versus government numbers. That would be the lowest inflation that we've seen since the last Trump administration. So we'll see. Things are starting to play out that way. If that also happens, Jerome Powell has been on the record saying he wants sub 2% inflation, then he'll start cutting rates. Then the rates get cut, then he can refinance debt. Plus, everybody's bills get cheaper because then your interest rates for car loans, for mortgages, for credit cards, for everything goes down. So everybody is in debt. We have the highest debt we've had in this country in forever. So in theory, nearly 100% of people, if you have any kind of debt, can now save money on your monthly basis because the interest rate will be down as well. So things are playing out pretty quickly because it's already, only March, and he got in mid-January. So I think it's been less than 2 months now, and you had that panic initially, and then now all those numbers are dropping. Obviously, crypto's down and stocks down, which we don't want to see. That makes it harder on our industry, our wallets, in the short term, and the product services and KOL services and everything else. But it's kind of the nature of the beast, and the grand plan that you're talking about that may or may not exist does seem to be working pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I think we just need a focus again. If you want to have, there's not enough KOLs, let's be honest, that actually have value in the space. And I'm not hating on a lot of them. I'm hating on certain ones that just don't really bring value to the projects because they're in too many projects and they're just trying to survive, which I understand. But imagine you take away all these crappy meme coins and you actually get a real focus from the KOL groups. And I've talked in KOL groups saying, like, let's do this. Let's stop supporting certain types of projects and really start focusing on, as the top tier to the mid tier to the low tier KOL, doesn't matter what people judge you as, focus on something of value so you bring your value to your actual people who watch you. Because right now it's just been like, let's pump it up, let's pump it up. They're not saying it, but they know in the back of their head that it's going to happen, and I'm guilty of it too. I've known, I've tried to back projects I think are longer term, but you don't know guaranteed what people are going to do, what the market reaction is going to be. And so it's better just to focus on the projects that I've been really focusing on this cycle, and I think some of them have outperformed and some of them underperformed, but really focusing on the value, like where is the infrastructure people use, what is actually the things and the tools and everything that people use, so we can actually have promotion of real products and services that we can say something with respect. Like when I was with Eternity, when I was talking about it, everyone knew. Like I was sure this is going to be big. I was sure Tokenomics is going to be big. I was sure World Mobile is going to be. A lot of them I was sure were going to be big, but because they solved the problem. And so, I called on all the KOLs and many of the groups, like, let's just start focusing on the value of real utility. Let's work together like VCs do to get investments, but let's work together to go and talk about the right projects to bring value to the right stuff in this space. So
yeah, man,
I think
I'm completely with you there. I think this correction was a much needed reset, flushed out a lot of shitty memes. We saw Pump Fund basically has gone to zero, right? There are no more launched on Pump Fund. What a wonderful, great thing. A lot of leverage has been washed out too. A lot of the scammy KOLs, they're going to be gone. A lot of the scammy projects, they're going to be gone. So I think once we sort of climb up out of this, we will see initially, I believe, a flight to quality like what you're saying, because people will have remembered. I mean, it was only a few months ago that they got wrecked doing the Pump Fund thing. They're going to be looking for legit projects that solve a problem, like you said, can generate some revenue, real product, real business. So I think there will be a flight to quality, probably in the early phase of whatever the next run is going to be. And then we're going to devolve into degeneracy again. Once everyone has flushed with cash, we'll start investing in stupid shit like memes and NFTs, as that's what always happens when people get rich. But for at least for a period of time, I do believe this is going to be a great reset for what was going on within crypto, and probably a great reset too for the wider economy. I mean, I'm starting to believe this notion of short-term pain, long-term gain. I do actually believe that Trump, whether it was purposely by design and they got into a meeting together and they're like, all right, we're going to do all these things and it's going to bring it's going to bring a correction, then we're going to refinance, whether they had that specific meeting or whether that's just what's the inevitable result of all this stuff. But that is the inevitable result. When you fire that many people from the federal government, that hurts the labor market. When you do everything you're doing with these tariffs, that hurts the financial markets. And so you have a recipe for cutting the rates, finally. Inflation will be low enough, the labor market will be weak enough, and the Fed will have to cut the rates, probably aggressively. And I think long-term that is a very good thing for the economy, for average everyday folks, and even for the financial markets that will eventually rebound. So I'm coming around to your position, guys.
Right. And the betting markets right now are betting that there will be 2 or more cuts by the end of this year. So there's an option of 2 or more, 1 or more, or 0 cuts. And right now the betting odds are in the favor of 2 or more cuts, and we're already 3 months through the year. So we'll see what happens. They're projecting that the inflation rate continues to tick down rapidly, and that the cuts start rapidly, maybe as soon as the next opportunity.
Yeah, he's gonna force their hand. It's so smart. Like, honestly, the way I look at it is I feel like it's super smart from my perspective.
If it was intentional, it was very smart. If it was unintentional, it was just good luck.
Would you have thought it wasn't? Like, it just feels like this man operates with certain people around him that are extremely smart. I'm not saying it's all Trump, but the man has shown time and time again what he's about. He believes, after not getting shot and dying, that he was sent from God to fix everything, and he's acting like it, and actions speak louder than words.
He's taking big swings, and it is interesting, the short-term pain, long-term game. We'll see how short-term this pain is.
If you're in crypto and you can't handle this shit, go the fucking somewhere else, man. Because, like, the reality is, I've been here for almost 12 years. I've gone through every crazy fucking painful thing in crypto. I've avoided many of them, thankfully, just because I think about security a lot. I'm a little bit less degenerate than my friends. But, I've still gotten wrecked many times, and I've still gone through all the bear markets. And I can tell you that, this whole entire cycle almost has felt like a bear market. I mean, Bitcoin went up, but, like, if you really look at all your other assets that are layer 1s, layer 2s, like, the stuff that normally would at least get halfway to the price it was last cycle, it didn't get there. All the money went into memes and BS. We have institutions don't really care about a lot of that stuff, not yet, anyways. It's a long-term game. This game is definitely wide and vast, and there's a lot of money on the sidelines. Family offices that took hundreds of millions of dollars. We've met with them, and they're like, we're looking for people to deploy capital into crypto. And it's like almost at that point where you're going to start to see, once they feel like they have the right people, there's going to be billions of dollars starting to come in crypto from non-traditional crypto people. And you've seen it with...
There's apparently $7 trillion on the sidelines between money markets, between corporate treasuries, between the family offices, between all these basically liquid assets. $7 trillion on the sidelines. Obviously not all of that's going to go into crypto, but I do think we are going to have a big...
Pick one.
Once we get clarity, on the trade wars, whatever you want to call it, the tariffs, once there's some okay, this is what they are. They're set at this. These countries have that. We have this, and we're doing it to help our industrial policy, whatever the case may be, bring jobs back to America, whatever. Once that's set, okay, that uncertainty is gone, and then we can look forward to Fed cutting rates. And once those two things happen, we are absolutely going to take off. So I'm long-term bullish, but this has not been easy. You're absolutely right. It's felt like there's been no bull run.
Well, then we've had a little outlooks of some altcoins doing well, but it happened so quickly that it didn't feel like a bull run. And then the meme season was a big thing. But last cycle, the people that were hailed as king and geniuses are like CZ or Richard Hart or Charles Hoskinson or Vitalik Buterin. This cycle was Murad, who just lost 95% of his money in the past 2 months on his meme coin ideal portfolio. And people are still backing him, and hey, that's great, but everybody, he went and did one speech about community this, that, and this, and he became like the biggest thing this cycle, and now he's just lost 90% of his capital.
You realize his last fund he blew up, right? Like the guy's not really that good with money. He blew up his last fund that he was in. What didn't surprise him, I'm sitting there going like, when people started telling me, hey coach, we're gonna look meme coin indexes and this and that, I'm like, maybe that will happen, I don't know. It just sounds absolutely fugazi. Like, what, we're gonna have these coins that have nothing to back them, that communities back until they actually don't go up anymore in value, and then they dump them all, but these are gonna be a meme coin in, like, I was like, I get it, but I also don't get it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Maybe that's because I'm less of a degenerate than most people, but it's just so much easier to like invest in a Link, right? Or, you know, a Solana or an AVAX or just something that actually has something of value behind it. I think
this is an interesting conversation because I feel there's a generational divide, actually. We're all like millennials. We're like elder millennials now. We're probably like old guys in the space. I actually think the young guys, they're not interested in the infrastructure plays. If you look at all the influencers and the big names coming out of the meme world, they were all the Gen X kids, right? And they don't care about, infrastructure, this or that. I'm making broad generalities, of course. But I do think there is a place for legit community-based memes. Like, there's no reason Doge is going to go anywhere. Sheeb, I think, still has a good community. There's still like ones with good communities. But the ones that were just designed to be pump and dump, like liquidity, basically exit scams, and that's what it became.
Let's be honest here. I think all of them kind of were, or at least a little bit, but then they were successful and then they just kept running with it. Feels like SHIB was that. They were like, what should we do with it? We'll build Shiba Chain and shit, you know? So, and
yeah,
they tried to add utility to that stuff too, right? Like, that's the point, is you always have to get back to something that's real. Otherwise, you can't sustain the price by just Peter paying Paul. Eventually, the greater fool loses. That's trading. That's how this works. So, you know, it's much better to get back by like, if a company can make $500 million a year in crypto and you can buy their token and they buy out of that $500 million, they buy 50 million, 100 million a year in buybacks because that flows back in the token. You know,
that's obviously a more secure investment, right? And I do think, again, that's where there's going to be a flight to quality.
That divide you're saying, though, you know what I mean? You're saying there's like a divide. There is. These people are idiots. They don't know anything. They think it's funny to sit on a toilet for 2 days. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. They're freaking ridiculous when it comes to investing, and they just love the degenerate part. But that's a bad part of our society that we should shut down.
Who even has the time to be able to do that? You know, that's crazy.
It's just insane, the stuff that you saw when they were live. They had to turn off the video.
I don't know the story about the toilet guy, but I saw some other horrible stuff going on. I'm glad that's done. Like, if honestly, if it took this 30% correction and all the challenges we're having now and the FUD and all that to clean out the markets, that's probably a trade-off that's worth having if you really think about it.
Guess another theory I have. If they do that, and that happens in the markets, and then real investors come and they go, oh, these are really valuable crypto projects that I want to invest into, and a bunch of these people go into the right projects while the market's down and all the memes are fucked and everything, and they start buying the Algorand's, the H-bars, maybe some XRP, even though I'm not a fan. That's kind of like the meta right now, you know, people buying that because whatever. The point is that people always follow the money. Like, I am friends with Ryoshi, who launched SHIB, and literally he told me it's all about, like, you have to buy up your own token, you have to make people believe, you have to build a community, and then it just takes off by itself, builds its own inertia. But you have to create it first. You have to create your own inertia, right? So I think it's important to understand.
Yeah, it's much better if new people coming in now are not investing in something that's going to go down 95 or 99% in a week. Let's have them invest in stuff that's going to go up slowly, maybe have some corrections, a little bit less risky.
Big funds come in and invest in the right projects. Retail will follow into the right projects. They'll believe, wow, I made money. Guess what? You're much more loyal to a project when you make money with the project than if you don't make money with the project. So if you want to get loyalty, yeah, they might sell some to get their initial and some profit out of it, but there's more often going to hold if they believe in why they bought it. And if you get real investors that aren't going to dump after 2 days into projects like that, and people see it, they're going to buy in as well to real stuff. And that's how you shift the focus from meme to real stuff. And that's actually what I've seen in last cycle. Last cycle, SHIB launched, all these meme launches, it was all bullshit. They all dumped to like crap. All real projects started launching, whether real or shitcoin, whatever, but those projects were launching and doing really, really well. People forgot about the memes. We haven't had a chance to forget about the memes this cycle because nothing really gave people the realization that they could make a 5 or 10x in something real. So they're like, fuck it, I'll go in a meme and make 1,000x if I'm lucky buying Peanut at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had like, I guess, little moments of different trends, but there hasn't really been a sustained trend. Like, we had an AI trend, and it felt like we had a very short AI agent trend, but it's really been memes and nothing else. I don't know. The market needs a bit of direction. We maybe need some innovation. That's usually, I think, where the trends come from, right? Some really smart devs get together and build a really cool new thing that's actually useful. Like, remember DeFi, Summer, and so on came because of Uniswap. right? And Aave and so on. We need another innovation like that, I think, maybe to create a new trend, but we'll see what happens. To me, this is a good time. Like, just get your head right. I've been doing a lot of content around, like, stepping away from the charts and things like that. So, Coach, for you, any advice you give to people to kind of deal with the psychological challenges that come with these corrections?
Yeah, make sure that your life isn't totally connected to everything crypto, so you have a life, right? Like, a lot of people just get into their mode by themselves and they're just like always alone, and they get these negative thoughts. You should be watching. I watch every single day like 30 minutes to an hour of motivational speakers, just basically mindset, all about your mindset. You're the one in control of how you think and how you feel. It's one of the only things you can control in this world is how you think and how you feel and all these things. So it's a powerful muscle that most people don't really use. We all don't use even like 80-90% of it, right? So, go out and actually experience life. Crypto will be here. Sometimes there's going to be trades that don't go well. So, sometimes you're going to have to think, should I dump something that I know already in my mind is not going higher, and I should just take what I can get out of it so I can make that money back with whatever I have. It's really about trying to keep your mind straight, not blaming yourself like, oh, it's all my fault, I'm so dumb. Like, talking positively to yourself. Yeah, I'm learning something now. Like, I always tell people, like, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm learning, I'm not failing, like, it's okay to fail, but I'm learning from every time that I fail. You don't get afraid of making mistakes and being wrong, and you're more accountable, right? I think crypto is the only place I've ever seen people message me I never talked to in my life, say, you talked about this token and it went down and you've ruined my family. And I'm sitting there going like, I ruined your family? How exactly does that happen? He's like, well, because you told me to buy this token, and even though it went up 17x, and I didn't sell it, and now it's minus 90%, it's your fault that I lost all this money, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, I never made you touch the button. Second of all, I never tell anyone to buy anything. I say what I'm buying, and I tell you why I'm buying it, but I don't tell you to go and buy it. So it was just kind of crazy that he just took all that accountability of himself and just threw it on me like it was my fault that he did something himself. And I think this industry needs a lot more people that are going to be accountable for their actions. I've lost millions. I've put my money in platforms and lost millions. I know the feeling of losing, but I don't have a loser mindset. I have a winner mindset. And I don't care when I lose. I know that I'm not going to do that ever again, and it taught me a lesson. A lot of time when you lose a lot of money and you go into a pretty hard place, you realize it actually didn't matter in the first place as long as you needed the money. So if I had more money and I could still pay my bills, and I lost $10 million on a platform, and I can still make it back because I already did it once before, then why is it changing my life? I can still pay for all my bills. So it was kind of like, I realized money is important, but at some point it's not really the end all be all. And that's where I got like, I go to the island for a day. I live in Phuket, I have a little boat, go to the island. I sometimes take my calls at the island. I'm like, screw it, just gonna go get nature, gonna go for a swim, just live a healthy, active lifestyle, do stuff that makes you happy, see people, be kind to people. There's really important lessons about that, like being around someone who's kind to someone, being the recipient, giving it. All three people get serotonin releases in their body, so they become happier, and all three people have immune system boosts. So like, just being around other people and being happy and kind to each other and being good to each other will affect all of the people in your friends group. And so have that kind of friends group where you hug each other, that also releases serotonin, and be loving towards people. So many people are focused on themselves. Love other people, man. Even if you don't know them, smile at them. You don't know what people are going through. And it's really about this muscle. How do you use it? Are you using it for positive thoughts of your mind? Are you telling yourself good stuff? Are you telling other people good stuff? Because when you tell people bad things and you make them feel bad, guess what? It's an opposite reaction of being kind to someone. So it actually affects you negatively. Your stress levels, your immune system actually gets negatively affected by being mean to people because you feel bad afterwards. Unless you're a psychopath. But you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I've trained my mind to be like this, but I spent hours doing that. And when you're on a chart and you're looking at a trade and you're trading with size and you see you're down $100,000 and it scares you, guess what? You're in the wrong trade, right? I don't give a fuck if I'm down $100,000 personally. It doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't affect me because that's not my life. It's not my kids. It's not my health. It's not my wife leaving me. I have a great relationship and work-life balance. People will tell you it's impossible. I try my best. Obviously, I'm a workaholic like anyone who is a successful entrepreneur, but I still try to spend time with my kids. I give my family time. I give myself time to do things I enjoy. and and I treat the people around me really good. And I think that's a recipe for success for life. But in crypto, it's really about, I know, like when I go into a casino and I take, let's say, $5,000, and I know before I go in that casino, I'm going to lose that $5,000 most likely. And I already tell myself I'm going to win, but I know in the back of my mind, there's a chance I might lose this. And am I okay? How does it make me feel? If I say, fuck it, I lose $5,000, it was a lot of fun, that's a good situation. That's how you should be when you're trading. If you're like, oh my God, I fucked up my life, you're probably overexposed. You take $100 and lose $100 and not feel so bad. So really, it's about yourself. Know yourself better. Spend time alone. Learn who you are, and spend time with good people, and get rid of the negative people in your life that drain you, because it really ruins your life. Like your whole entire work ethic, everything gets messed up. So,
Yep.
I really treat life like this. Like if someone's really negative and has bad emotional stuff going on, I really try to avoid that stuff. I'll help them through it if they're a good friend, but I can't be around people that are always saying negative shit, because it just affects me really negatively. Well, and the more calm and unemotional I am, the better trader I am, right? I make good decisions when I have nothing negative going on in my life. My wife's happy, my kids are happy, I'm seeing my friends, they're happy, everything's good. I'm on a chart, I'm like, boom, this is the trade. I know it. I'm not thinking about 3 other things that are going through my mind because I had a fight with my wife and my kids are being dicks or something like that, So, yeah, I think that's a really
It all
good...
goes together. It all the
Everything's
the
about balance.
mindset, the emotional goes back to the charts, goes back to the trading, goes back. Yeah, no, it's all connected. And by the way, I gotta say, I love your community. Shout out to the Coach K community. You've built something I think really special over the years. A bunch of really smart guys. Shout out to Jarek. I love going back and forth with that dude. But yeah, a lot of really smart people, positive people though, right? Not a lot. In the
I kind of known for that.
But
too,
most
right?
people are pretty chill in there. Most people are pretty. There's been some people that are like a little, but whatever. That's normal. But it's been mostly positive in that group. So good on you building that community. Awesome group over there. I suggest people, do what they can. Follow Coach K on X. I think getting into that community is it token gated or NFT gated? I forget.
Yep.
But
they're pretty cheap right now. It's not a really high price, and I mean, the only way to get in or out, you're not buying them from me. You're buying them from other members that would swap with you. And so I made it like that because when people buy into something that they can sell out of anytime they want, it makes them value the community more. And I mean, I've gone through this whole phase of just getting rid of negative energy from the group many times. So people used to get excited about me purging people, and it was more for these people are not really adding any value, and they're negative, so it's not good. But there's a ton of OGs in the group. Many people have been 5 to 10 years in the space, and it's just a great group of people, and it's always positive, and it's never like just shitting on everybody. And you see what you see in the traditional Telegram group. So it's been a really wonderful experience with those guys. Many of them became millionaires. A lot of them actually probably went to millionaire, went down underneath a millionaire, but they're still better off. They're still better off than they were, and I think. Yeah. Ultimately, like my whole goal with them is just trying to give them opportunities so that they have the right people, the right things around them, the right tools, so that they can make money in this space. And if I can guide them, and I think a lot of them I've really just coached through my thought process and being around. That's the beauty of the community. I'm there, so it's like asking me questions and thinking how I think that actually helped them with how they think and how they trade. And some of them took my trading courses and ran with it and became maybe even better traders than I am. So it's a beautiful place to be. It's about love.
I love
and
it,
giving.
man, and thank you for inviting me and letting me be a part of that for so many years.
Absolutely.
Definitely, guys, if you're watching this video, I would suggest finding a way to get into that group. I know it's not easy, but you can at least follow Coach on X and YouTube. We'll put up your links and stuff in the bottom of the video. Any final thoughts before we jump off? Nick, you got any thoughts on how do you keep insane in this crazy market? I want to hear from Crypto Hitman on that.
I mean, pretty much the same thing Coach said. There's not much you can do. I made a post to my group the other day when everything really crashed. It's like, hey, if you have cash and capital, let's look for trade setups for new entries on Bitcoin in the large caps, lower risk plays. We took more entries in Coinbase stock and some of these things. But for the things that you're already invested in, you're in them for a reason. So have conviction in those investments and those ideas. Make sure you're utilizing the token to the best utility it has, whether that's staking or locking or discounts on products and services. Make sure you're doing that. And then if you have any pre-sale tokens that are up for vesting, make sure you're going out there and collecting those and doing the same thing. Really, when it's that red, if you have some capital, let's look to deploy. If you don't have capital, let's just kind of look over your portfolio, make sure things are staked, taken care of, you know what you have. So when the market turns around, you can reposition more quickly because you already know all the tokens you have, you know where they're at, and you know what you want to sell first.
That's solid advice. Yeah, I think sometimes people, when the market crashes, just completely walk away, disappear for weeks or months at a time. It's probably, look, it's good to get outside, see family and friends, do everything Coach said. But to completely just disappear, that's not doing yourself any favors. So I think you find that middle ground.
Yeah,
look, the market's going to come back.
Yeah, we see
It's
that.
Yeah, less is more. I think honestly, looking over your portfolio in its entirety, especially if it's kind of distributed amongst various places, and I know it's going to be down, but I bet you if you've been in a space long enough, I bet you if you zoom out where you were a year and a half ago, it's still probably up from there, even with this correction. So I think just doing those little things gives you a little peace of mind. Like, and you're gonna look at your portfolio and say, you know what, that's still a pretty decent amount of money. Like, I know it's down, but like I'm fine financially, unless of course you did the things like you invested more than you afford to lose and you made a lot of mistakes. Like, okay, I'm not talking about that. But if you're just a guy that's been in the space for a while, you're probably still up from a while back, and you probably still have a decent chunk of money there in the space, more than normies have. You compare yourself, average crypto guy to a normie. Look, normie, they're making a couple, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. That's it. They have no investments, probably no savings, credit card debt, all this shit. You're better off than a lot of folks, even with this correction. So good thing to think about too. Any final words before we jump? Because we're coming up at the end of time.
I would just,
and we have to have you going again.
Yeah,
Coach,
I would just say I agree with what you said. Take your break, take your day off or 2 days, whatever. But if you are leaving for a month at a time or 2 months at a time or 3 months at a time, I'm seeing this over and over time. You can't come into an investment market where it's player versus player essentially, or group versus group. You find your niches, that's to your community, whatever, and then be gone for months at a time and expect to come back and be one of the big winners. It's just not the case. It's not the case on anything in life. You can't walk away from work for 3 months and come back and be the best producer in the industry. And I see that a lot of times. People get burnt out and they disappear. Take your days off, maybe only spend an hour a day on it, but you have to tune into the market, see what the trends are, see where your portfolio is doing, kind of be in tune with what's going on. You can't expect to disappear, jump in, and be on the right side of the market. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I think you got to find that. I think you got to find. I love what you said about the find those one or two niches. Find those niches that you actually enjoy doing. I know I enjoy crypto. I don't want to take. I mean, sometimes I want to take a day off here and there, but I don't wake up like, oh fuck, I gotta go to work again. I'm like, all right, what are we doing today? Like, let's kick ass, even if it's a bearish period. So find the things that you love, focus on those within the space. Like, I never gave a shit about NFTs, so I never got into that, right? Like, I'm not into art and stuff like that, so I just never did it. And then, memes, I dabbled a bit. I'm more about building businesses, but it doesn't matter. The point is, you find that niche, find the thing you like, and that will allow you to come back and hit it every day. So awesome advice. Great interview, Coach. It's awesome to have you on. We'll have the links down below so folks can follow you and potentially get involved with your community as well. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the beach.